Hey everyone, Angelo here, Hollywood filmmaker, greatest screenwriter in the history of the world, recovering homeless guy. Day one of being homeless. Yesterday was day zero, 4:14 in the afternoon. It's taken too long to get to this point. This morning my head was just, I don't know, bursting because it's felt like such a violation, and like it's so disorienting to be unemployed now. As I get older and I'm 40, it feels less like there are infinite possibilities. Like, oh well, out of one job, just start another, and into like, no, you're kind of on a track that you're going. Now it's kind of illusory because they're both true, right? You're on a track, but also there are always infinite possibilities. But I don't feel it the same as when I was younger and I would switch between jobs and it was no big deal. There wasn't as much pressure. Oh, also I was always broke. So, I mean, like, there was a kind of, definitely not carefree, but it was always like work's just there while I do my at the time I wasn't really, well, I wasn't writing until some years ago now, like 7 years ago, 8 years ago maybe. But I was still like making YouTube videos and I wanted to be a director and I still want to do that. And yeah, it was just so much. It was just overwhelming. I felt like this heat emanating from inside my skin, and it was just like overwhelming. Like it feels like I'm in this like shadow-filled void, and I don't know what's going on and what should I do first. And like there are no landmarks for me. And I just started taking it a step at a time because I realized it's not really that. I am tired. I barely slept. I could not sleep much. My mom, she said she had nightmares. She feels so bad because we both just know it's such a different scenario than like the last time I lost a job where I was relieved. I was glad. This is not like that. This is like, hey, I got a good thing going, but that's how it goes. I really realized today, like, well, it was time. Not it was time and therefore this happened, but it was time because it happened. That's how it works. And I also got excited in a way because I'm like, I know I love a new opportunity, a new challenge. And so, first of all, I was listening to some histories of Lenin and the Russian Revolution. You should study it from Bez D. Marx, like Marx. It's obvious, right? On YouTube. And while I was doing that, I cleaned my windows so thoroughly. There's so much organic matter on here. I just wanted to clean everything and get my room so right. I use a lot of paper towels. I got to save money on paper towels too. But I cleaned it so it got into every little crevice. And yeah, emptied out my trash here. What did I wipe down the floors, the corners where I don't really dust much. And did the standard things. Unemployment payments are making me rub my eyes because the website's kind of broken. I keep getting some error. I have all my info in there because I applied for it like 3 years ago. And I went in, I just made sure I updated my password and stuff. And then there's this other thing to verify your ID. And I do it, and then it just says there's some error. And I don't know what it is. And I tried it like 10 times. And I was like, well, maybe something's out of date. I go make sure all my info is up to date on this other site, and I updated my password too. I'm like, maybe there's some unknown glitch in there because I'm sure the infrastructure to pay for these websites, or excuse me, the budget to pay for the infrastructure of these websites is fairly minuscule. And also, we shouldn't have to be doing any of this. There shouldn't even be it's not even a matter of, oh, you should get payments automatically when you're unemployed. No, it should be, we're all taken care of. All the money that executives claw out of us and put towards their limitless growth comes back to us. It stops being extracted from us basically by force because it's amazing how we view other countries as or socialist countries as repressive, when here you have all the repression you need. Although we are an imperial core, a big capitalist nation that makes war around the world. No war with Venezuela. That is a horror waiting to happen. It has been happening, the bombings, and no war except class war. We have to be international. We have to think about our Venezuelan neighbors and comrades and people around the world. And how ridiculous is this? The military gets a blank check to commit war on the flimsiest lies. Like, they're not even trying to give a pretext of any need for an invasion, like repelling some threat. It's basically just like, well, we want to. We want to do it. We want to kill you all, and we want your oil. And that's it. But meanwhile, applying for unemployment, such a hassle. And yeah, I couldn't do it. It just wouldn't work. Like, I tried on 3 different browsers. I'm like, I don't know if there's something blocking some setting on one of them, but I'm sure there isn't. And so I tried calling. You got to go through menus for 5 minutes just to answer like 3 questions because it takes so long to get to like where you can actually press your answer for each one. And then it just said, we're experiencing a lot of calls right now. We cannot take them all. Call back later. Goodbye. Like, the automated voice doesn't even put you on hold because they know it's pointless. And no, there's no option to let them call you back. Like, you know, you call your cell phone company or something. It's nope. Like, we're hanging up. We can't even talk to you. And so I'm gonna call like maybe towards the end of the day, but I think realistically, what I'm hearing, the advice I'm hearing is call before they open and wait like on the phone so that once they open, like, you're early in the queue. So I guess if I wanted, I could just call as soon as they close and wait all night, but that would be pretty insane. And anyway, so yeah, I got to call because I don't know what this error is. Like, my info should be in there. I don't know what's going on. And then I updated my resume and you know, different companies, you want to tailor your resume to what they need, and also getting, you know, very purposeful about who I want to apply to. I don't just want to apply to places randomly. I don't want to waste my time, and I don't want to waste their time if I get an offer that I don't really want. And so I'm being purposeful and thinking, what do I want? And trying to conceive of what I could possibly want. And I stopped very quickly looking at videos about what job seekers are going through now and stuff because they're so depressing and they're not helpful. I'd rather watch Bezdi Marks on Vladimir Lenin, how he became a revolutionary and how he helped foment the Russian Revolution, because I'd rather just learn stuff, because that's really so much better for me than just hearing how shit it is to look for jobs. I'm like, I get it. I am sure it's terrible. And it was horrifying stuff to learn. Like, there are companies now just doing AI interviews. You literally talk to a bot. And I saw one job that listed that. I couldn't believe they actually said that. I thought they would at least spring that on you. But it says you get an AI interview. So I'm like, oh, they want tons of applicants. Well, how much can you value your employees at that point? And again, I'm amazed that we mock like the Soviet Union or other countries as repressive and like censorious, when we have to censor ourselves so much to be in the good graces of employers, to look like good employees who can provide a ton of value but expect nothing from you. But we have to act like we don't need you because we can't seem needy and desperate. And we can't be overly qualified because you don't want them thinking that you'll leave for a better offer at some point. And it's this horrible straitjacket around you. You have to be careful, like what you're saying at all time. You never know what anything, anything. You never know you never know words. You never know what you could say that would be viewed as like potentially like, oh, this person's a little too much of a free thinker or something, or has funny ideas about dignity in the workplace and all. But that shows you also the fact that we're also scared of it shows how scared they want us to be. The ruling class, executives, the politicians, they buy and sell, lobbyists, they want us to be scared because they know how much power we have. I think I heard someone say Malcolm X said, I think it was, what's his name? Butch Ware said, Malcolm X said, maybe, okay, I forget who said it, but somebody said that Malcolm X said, never let your enemies tell you how powerful you are. And that's smart because they'll always try and bluff you into thinking you have no power. So if you feel that, know that you actually have lots of power. We all do collectively, and it's going to take strife and work. And, you know, they will strike back when you look at like Starbucks, they're trying to strike. Yeah, the employees have a lot of power, but the company is doing their damnedest to break them down and break their ranks and demoralize them, and hope they all just give up in their fight for unionization. And we shouldn't even be fighting for unionization. We should be fighting for worldwide collective workers owning the workplace, worker cooperatives, democratically led workforces where we democratically plan economies for the benefit of for the benefit of people and what they use, rather than for limitless exchange and growth. I don't know why I'm switching up the L's and the TH's. Yeah, limitless exchange and growth for companies that essentially it's a fiction. The economy is a fiction. It's made up. Look up Bad Empanada. And now I forget the name of the video. Economics is based on lies, or economics is all lies. And he starts the video saying, with a little graph, and he's like, what I like makes good things go up. What you like makes good things go down. That's how you know you're wrong, basically. And he goes into more of, I haven't seen the whole video, to be clear, but this is what I've learned also, and formerly having been very passionate about economics and been an anarcho-capitalist who bought into this stuff. What we measure with economic factors are fictions that make it look very alluring and very intoxicating, but it's there to bolster the ruling class, capitalist exploiters, the bourgeois, to extract from us, the workers, extract from the environment, create war, profiteer from war. This war with Venezuela is going to be, I hope we don't go to war. Please, let's not. It's going to be very profitable for war profiteers, war contractors, weapons contractors, and that's why we go to war so much. Smedley Butler, 2-time Medal of Honor winner. That's insane to win 2 Medals of Honor. And he said he was a gangster for capitalism. He was fighting for, and he listed all the causes that were American corporations that he fought for in multiple theaters of combat. And he said, I was a gangster for capitalism, and war is a racket. And people don't like seeing that. They don't like admitting that. Smedley Butler was very honest to admit that, and to see, like, yeah, I was fighting for capitalist exploiters. And meanwhile, what do workers go through here? Now, we're relatively privileged in the imperial core. We're shielded from our, largely, that is. I mean, we, again, also relative. Now we're seeing some of that imperialism turn inward with border patrol and ICE raids, and DHS and the National Guard out. Because none of it's ever going to be enough to satisfy these white supremacists and capitalists. Even if they could, which they can't, get every immigrant out of the country, then conditions would still be terrible, and they'd still be angry and still have people to hate and say, oh, well, now it's not just the immigrants, it's all the immigration extremists, the people who support immigrants. They're sabotaging us. They're undermining us. It's limitless how much they can turn people into enemies and try and oppress them in order to satisfy their need to say, look, we have enemies everywhere. We have to crush them because they're the ones making you poor. When in reality, the ruling class, are the ones making us all poor, and they want us, the workers, to blame each other and say, oh, it's black people, it's Hispanic immigrants, it's Chinese people, it's Indians, it's people taking our jobs, it's just the offshoring, it's gay people, LGBTQ people, trans people, it's homeless people, it's people with disabilities. I'm sure there are many other things that, like, people hate each other about, and these culture war issues that get us hating each other, when those are by design of a large, all-encompassing system that is going on around the world, and it's always changing and mutating, but fundamentally it's exploitative, it's capitalism, and we have to be class conscious, just the way the ruling class is very class conscious. What was I going to say? I don't even know. Health regulators? No. Landlords, the rich owners are very class conscious. They have great class solidarity, but they absolutely don't want you to have class solidarity. So we have to educate ourselves. So I am educating myself. I'm reading right now City of Quartz by Marxist professor Mike Davis. Very good history of LA. And next I have his book, Ecology of Fear. I also checked out from the library. Thank you to the person who recommended these to me. And I bought Lenin's The State and Revolution. And I'm going to be checking out more books from the library because now I'm unemployed. I need to save money. I'm going to be making like 2-hour trips to the food bank once a week or so to get food because I don't want to spend money at the regular grocery store. I'm going to keep exercising. It's amazing how the catastrophic thinking set in, thinking to myself, like, oh my God, what if I get in a crash on my bike? What if I get injured rollerblading? What if anything happens that reduces my stability? And then I thought, Angela, I knew, Angela, stop. That's your body trying to protect you against a threat because it doesn't know where the threat is. It feels like there's a threat somewhere near. Well, the threat isn't here. It was an emotional blow, but our genome is set to take those as a physical threat. And it's how, human beings survived thousands of years ago, where if you didn't respond to that threat, it could be an animal trying to kill you or like somebody trying to fight you. But it was a function of if you didn't conform to the tribe, you could not survive. Because if you lived in a tribe where you all relied on each other to survive, if you were ostracized, it was like death, because it could very well be death. And so the people who survived tended to pass on those genes and whatever biology that makes it so being rejected, being ostracized, feels like a death. You have a trauma response to it. But we also have the ability to ratiocinate and foresight and hindsight and the ability to deliberate as much as we don't use it. We in America and around the world do not use it, but in America especially, I have to say, we're not using it. People aren't taught it, but it's like we have to find our integrity too as workers. I know not all workers are great, believe me. A worker sexually harassed me for 6 months. It was hell. And so I'm not saying all workers are great. I'm saying is we have to elevate ourselves, treat ourselves well, be disciplined, be organized, be good people, and know our worth and understand the relationships in this system. And I used to think I knew everything. Like when I was a conservative and then when I was a libertarian, I was so headstrong. Now it's kind of the opposite. Now I feel, much more. It's not that I feel more clarity, because I felt perfect clarity in those other views. But now I'm like, oh, okay, this is my understanding of the world, the relationships between all these systems of power and oppression. But they're always changing. There are always things to learn. There's so much more to learn. And it's just a healthy attitude to me to have, where, I am learning and I can be wrong. And we should celebrate being wrong and learning from it and correcting ourselves. My mom is doing well, but she's upset about this too. It's a gut blow. I can't even say gut blow. It feels like this strange violation to lose this job. But that's a weird thing about having a job and growing older. And at least my experience after, like I said, having crappy jobs and jobs I wasn't really super, committed to. I mean, granted, as in I didn't think this would be my life or it would lead somewhere. I didn't even think that job would be my life. I thought eventually I'll be a writer, and I will be, and a filmmaker. But it totally disoriented me to where I was almost scared to write, because I'm like, wait, how can I write now? I need to do stuff. If I write, I'll be trapped writing. It's like, no, Angelo, that's the panic response in you, catastrophizing, your body trying to ward off a threat that isn't there. So I am going to write. I'm actually going to write tonight. And I'll ride my bike a little bit. I got to take a nap. I did not sleep much. But it's important to stay mobilized. So I'm still doing my hair all nice, if you call this nice, I don't know. And like I said, cleaning my room, doing stuff to show safety to myself, and just general good lifestyle stuff, and eating healthy. I'm not out indulged. I indulged enough last week, I'll say that, on Thanksgiving. I went to a potluck, ate a bunch of donut holes, and not a bunch, but some donut holes and cookies and whatever. Matcha treats. But we have to learn that we're not in isolation, but we're part of a phenomenon, of a larger system that we can always learn from, and it's great to learn from. And I always say, I haven't always said this, but I always say this now, starting now, sample an array of views. Lenin did, and also I did throughout my life, just by nature of the fact that how I changed politically. By all means, watch and read conservatives. I did even after I became a progressive. I wasn't even a socialist, let alone or a communist yet, and I am a communist, but I wasn't even a socialist when I was listening to conservatives. Just to sort of like, it was entertaining. I don't know how to put it exactly. I can't just say monitoring them, but it was interesting to listen to them and hear how they thought and their blind spots that became more and more apparent to me as I listened to them. And I wouldn't even listen to leftists or progressives. I didn't care. I thought it was boring. I wanted to listen to the conservatives. I would listen to Mark Levin and Dennis Prager and little Ben Shapiro. I really didn't find him entertaining. He's like this. It feels so repressed what he's doing. This fake, I want to make fascism fun kind of personality. And no, I said Dennis Prager. Eric Harley and Gary McNamara on Red Eye Radio. Boy, those guys are racist twats. I hate using that word, but the T word. That is like, I don't like just speaking in demeaning terms. So excuse me. Even about some people I don't like. Yeah, that's not me. I take that back. I don't like that. I'm not going to edit the video, but it's amazing to like hear it with that perspective and then see out in the real world how differently things work and what they're papering over and ignoring. And there were other guys on YouTube I would watch. I would fall asleep listening to them. I was just fascinated by listening to them. By all means, sample a wide array of views, but do sample them all. Listen to libertarians. See how they think. I can listen to them now and think, oh boy, this is so problematic and they're missing so much. And at least when I was a libertarian, I could say it seemed like there was a better crowd there. And there were people who were more thoughtful than what I've seen lately, which is like straight up race science. But also I was part of that too, where not the race science thing. No, actually that was something we rejected. I remember a conversation about that with some other people, but where like somehow the subject of the bell curve came up and people were like, yeah, that guy's actually racist. Like as far like there was I'm stuttering. A consistency about being anti-police and anti-war and stuff, where it seems like that's very shifting grounds for a lot of them, and a lot of other ugly things too, where they're concerned about very petty stuff and legalistic stuff, but I was too. And yeah, then the eventual drift into progressivism and socialism and communism. You realize, we've been trying to terrify people from communism. Why? Because people would try and get social housing, public housing, and they demonize it as communist, and communist therefore is bad. Peace movements, civil rights movements, health, people advocating for healthcare, for workers' rights, people who fought for the North in the Civil War were communists. Karl Marx himself, with the First International, wrote a letter praising Abraham Lincoln for prosecuting the Civil War and saying that, I forget if it was the same letter or a different one, that it was essential that black people have the right to vote. And so you start seeing the connections of when conservatives and liberals, because liberals, I could say, do you want to read them? Yes, read them, but you're going to get a headache because they're kind of the worst. They're the biggest phonies and self-aggrandizing hypocrites. They are awful because they're right-wing, but they want credit for being left-wing. And left liberals and all that, it's really hollow. But sample them all, and then also read socialists and communists and just see what you think. Like, I'm not even saying believe any one thing, but when you read history and biographies and listen to the programs and all about this stuff, podcast programs. What are we on TV in the 60s? There's an excellent program to watch, the Dick Van Dyke Show. But sample it all. Learn how a society works. And keep learning, keep studying, eat healthy. Yeah, it's tough for a lot of people. And if you can, go car light or get rid of your car. A lot of people can't. It's just the nature of we built out our country for cars, so you can't get around without one. But if you can, take trips by the bus. And if you can, by the metro. Not many cities in America have a metro, but here in LA we do. So ride a bike if you can. Rent a bike from the Metro Bike. walk, get exercise. It's amazing how good your body feels when you do that. And also, we should be, thinking so much more about how we accommodate, make our built environment for all different body types, for people with disabilities, because it not only just makes it better for them, but it makes it better for everyone. Now, to be clear, you should do it just to make it better for people with disabilities and varying body types. But I'm saying, the paradox is when you stop just thinking about yourself, you become so much bigger, and what benefits others benefits you. So that's a good note to end the video on. Can't stop admiring my clean window here. I'm ready to pass out, take a nap. So thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Bye.